Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of the rebuild. Carmen and I have just sat here on our recording link for the last half hour, just catching up and actually just chatting about life and chatting about what's going on in our own worlds and things like that. And rightfully so, Carmen just said, "Hey, we should probably start recording and we should probably get an episode done." So here we are because today we are here to chat about the Femina dinner that is happening next week on November 19th. And really to speak about kind of the purpose behind these events, why we do them, Carmen's involvement, what to kind of expect from this dinner for those who are attending and any people who are coming kind of in the future to future events. But we really just wanted to talk about community and talk about what drives us to build these communities and the importance of it. So that's what we'll dive into today. But Carmen, how are you? I know how you are because we've
Yeah.
just been chatting for the last half
Yes.
hour, but
Yeah.
how are things going?
I'm doing okay. It feels like a bit of a shift, a season of change. And I feel like I'm definitely being very mindful for every day on how am I feeling? What am I thinking? What are the thoughts going on? And also working towards, so yesterday was November 11th, the 11th. Of
Mm,
course, it was Remembrance Day here in Canada, but also it is a portal of change and how you can like tap into more abundance and really letting go of what doesn't serve you anymore and letting go of being attached to certain things that maybe aren't working and being open to receiving whatever change is meant for you, but also building the certainty that when you do that, um, whatever stage you are in your life, it's for you. Something
mm.
is for the better is coming. And so that's where I'm at right now.
I mean, it's a good place to be, and it's good thoughts to be having. And again, I think especially as we come to year end type things, it is those that moment of reflection and that moment. I
Mhm.
think there are questions that a girlfriend of mine put to me a few years ago before the end of the year, and it's like, what are you taking into next year? What are you leaving behind in next year? And
Yeah.
what do you want to grow next year? And I think that leaving behind piece is like can seem like such a simple question, like, oh, I'm going to leave behind my drinking habit, or I'm going to leave behind this or that, like things that can just kind of fill that void. But when you actually stop and think, what isn't serving me anymore? What do I need to
Hmm.
let go of? Where does my
Hmm.
mindset need to be? Where does that shift need to be?
Yeah.
It becomes a very different question and one that can be very, very profound for how you then show up in that next chapter or next time frame or whatever it may be.
Yeah. It's like, what is it that I'm forcing or I'm so attached to or clinging onto that maybe I just need to let go of. And if it's meant for me, then it will show itself. And if it's
Yeah.
not, then you allow the space for something else to show itself.
Releasing that control, which
Yeah.
I gotta say I've been getting much better at this year, but that has always been my big piece of struggle is
Yeah.
releasing that control. Well, I think that speaks really well to the event next week and the Femina dinner that's happening. So I'm really
Mhm.
happy to say that we have 36 women who are coming to the dinner, which is super exciting. And when we initially started doing Femina dinners, we started them back in 2022 or 2022, I guess. And we hosted our first one kind of on a whim. And it was this moment where we just brought women together and it was a place to just actually enjoy each other's company. And I remember when we were wrapping up that dinner, it was attached to a mining conference. A woman came up to me and she gave me this enormous hug and she said, "Beth, you don't know how nice it is to be able to come to a dinner and have more than one glass of wine without having eyes of judgment all over me that I'm either drinking too
Mhm.
much or that I'm being seen as a lush." She goes, "The fact that we're just women who can drink wine and laugh together when we're all at a conference and all running around like crazy is something that I've never experienced before." And I knew
Mhm.
the minute she said that, I thought, well, I guess we're doing this now. And I guess we're running
Mhm.
dinners and we're running events. And our events have continued to evolve and grow. And when we thought about if we were going to do any events this fall, my initial thought was no, just from a cost perspective. I was like, no, we're not going to do any. If we don't have kind of partners and sponsors with them, they're very expensive to put on, and it's just, possibly not worth it. But it just kept nagging at me and nagging at me for no, you should go to Vancouver, you should do something in Vancouver. And I was at an event with this woman, Deborah Rosati, who is with Women Get on Board. She's the founder of that organization, and she came up to me and she said, "Beth, we're doing an event in Vancouver on November 20th. Is there any way that you could also do a Femina event the night before? Because we loved last year so much and we know our community got so much value out of it." And so right when she said it was like that sign where I was like, I guess we're doing a dinner on November 19th and we're doing this. And so we set it all up and we put our tickets out and we said we were going to do this. And we've never had anything sell out as fast as what this dinner did. And the fun part is that most of these tickets came from people outside of our immediate community, but women who have been watching us, women who have been watching our space. And I thought the beauty of what we do and why I love putting these together is because I love that intimate feeling of community. Because I think when you bring people together in an environment that is a great environment, great food, great atmosphere, you don't have to show up as a woman with your accolades kind of leading the way. You don't need to show up with your title. You don't need to show up with like reading off your resume and all of your professional accomplishments to me. You actually just get to show up knowing that you are in a room with other like minded women, with other women who, for all accounts are equally as successful. And you just get to come and be, which is
Hmm.
like something we don't get in networking events. It's something that we don't get in industry events because you're always kind of pushing for that next thing. You're always trying to impress that next person. You're always trying to put your title in front of everything that you do. And for me, these dinners really are about showing up as you are and showing up in the moment so that you can actually just build community, feel safe, feel like you're having fun, feel those moments of joy in the room together. And I think that that's really what we are trying to create next week for these 36 women who are going to be there.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to I think it was the last dinner you had, which was a year and a half ago.
A
Would it
year
have been?
ago, just over a year ago in Vancouver.
Okay, so I was thinking the one in May. There was also one in
Oh,
May,
yes. Yeah. That
and
was
it
a year
was
and a half ago.
built off of another so there was a mining conference,
Yeah.
and then after the conference in the evening, there was the dinner, and I just remember the feeling of, like, conferences are great, but this, like, networking through these femina experiences are a different level because it's like putting yourself in the room of where you need to be to have more open, more vulnerable conversations, sharing. And so maybe we can talk about how to maximize these events or these
Mhm.
experiences for yourself. But it was such a different, like, you show up to the conference and you're kind of guarded because 'cause you're like, who do I need to talk to? What do I like, what am I gonna say? And it's very like exchange business cards or like,
Mhm.
have a
Mhm.
little cheese plate and a glass of wine, and then you're just sort of listening to the speaker, but not really like, and really, what are you gonna learn? Like, maybe if you're there the whole conference, maybe 10% of the content, you'll be like, "Okay, that's something I can take back."
Mhm. Mhm.
Versus going to the dinner. Then I left the conference feeling like, yep, that was like a typical conference. Going to the dinner, I was like, who am I going to meet? What conversations are we going to have? What is going to shift for me? And the whole evening, you're engrossed in conversation with someone. You're sharing like, oh, I went through this. How or have you had this happen to you? Like, what was your experience? How did you get through it? What's next for you? What are you looking for? Like, it's just way more deeper engagement, and seeing like how other women who are also, you know, just um like high functioning, high powerful women, how they're living their lives, how they're experiencing things. And it's just such a great, like, it's a totally different experience.
Yeah, I completely agree because it feels like you're walking into a group of friends, whether or not you know the group or not. And I think that the reason that that happens is because we do always have members and community members of Femina who are at these dinners. And so naturally they're all connecting right away. And some of them are meeting for the first time face to face. Some of them are like picking up conversations that they had on our Slack channel. And so it is this energy that immediately hits the room where it's just like,
Mhm.
I'm here to just enjoy being here and enjoy being in your company. And one of the things that I did for this dinner is I actually made these very cute little postcards that everyone is going to have the opportunity to actually put their kind of little reminder to themselves by the end of the night. Like, what did this evoke and spark in you? And what do you
Mhm.
want to take and remember? And I'm actually going to collect all of them and send them back out to participants in a few weeks to just say, like, remember when you came to this dinner, like you came as yourself, you came to connect, you came to be with other women. Like, what is the feeling you're leaving with? And have you felt that again? And how do you make sure that you cultivate that feeling back into your life on a day-to-day basis? And
Mhm.
I think one of the things I'll always get messages from people anytime we do an event or anything like that, being like, okay, here's the cost. Like, what's the agenda? Who are the speakers? Who's going to be in the room? I just need to make sure that there's going to be value for me. And I always know whenever I get that message, that's probably not the right person to come to our event because there isn't
Yeah.
an agenda. It is not a
Yeah.
formal event. It is not about what knowledge am I imparting on you that you then can take and that sort of thing. It really is that self-directed. We are creating something that is unique and that is really
Mhm.
powerful because I truly believe that when really intelligent, smart, kind women come together, that we don't actually have to facilitate that. We don't actually
Mhm.
have to put a formal agenda in place because women will take on the initiative to just get to know you. And I really
Mhm.
want to know how you are doing. And I want to know what's exciting about your job. I want to know what's happening in your life, what's going on with your kids, and just have a moment to kind of pull that back. And we just don't have those opportunities in the industry to be able to do that because we do
Mhm.
have to always kind of be on guard. We have to have our most professional selves coming forward. And so when we're given an hour and a half to 2 hours to come and just say, I'm going to just be me. And it's something one of our experience members actually, she said in one of our very first calls, they were all setting intentions. And she said, my intention for this year is I'm just going to show up as me at every function. And she goes, and
Yes.
sometimes that means I'm going to be really happy and I'm going to be really excited. And
Yeah.
sometimes that means that I'm going to be like in a shit mood and I'm going to be upset and I'm going to be sad about things. And no matter what, I'm going to show up as me and in that moment. And I was like, yes, that's what we want. Like, that's what we want to
So good.
create is that safety for people to feel like that's how they can show up to our events.
That's so good. I mean, almost we should like advertise that. Like, if you are looking for an agenda, this event is not for you.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to say that's like exactly to people because I don't want them to feel like they're wasting their money and their time. And I
Yeah.
don't want them to also then take a seat
This
from someone who wants to be there for another reason.
it's like this isn't about optics. This isn't about the perfect way. You're not going to get like you may have spelling mistakes in the email that
I will
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
spelling
Yeah.
mistakes in the email that gets
Yeah.
sent out for sure. And they're
Yeah.
not stock emails. They are all
Yeah.
from me, from my email account that I put together for
Yes.
people. And I do all of
Mhm.
that because I like that personal touch. And I just feel like I want to give everything of myself and of the
Mhm.
company to every single one of those women who are showing up. And I mean, we have women across finance, across law, across mining. We have young women. We have women who are more senior in their careers. We have such a good group of people coming. And we have like a woman coming who I met at a conference here in Ontario a few weeks ago, who is a PR expert and is someone who is all about helping women with their own like personal
Mhm.
branding and like
Mhm.
PR. And I just extended the invite to her because I thought you're going to be awesome to have here for this
Mhm.
conversation, as well as it's going to introduce you to like so many more women in your own community
Mhm.
that you probably wouldn't connect with otherwise. And so it's that mix of people and seeing how people kind of show up and just knowing that our full intention is to foster that sense of community. And community is
Mhm.
so like rare to find in its true form right now. We're all so like consumed by like quick gratification, by like, you know, the next big thing, whatever's shiny, whatever's new, that we don't
Mhm.
take that time to actually sit in community nearly enough. And when you can do that, it just gives you so much, that gives you so much value. That gives you so much joy and
Mhm.
so much to kind of build off on. And we really want that to be felt in next week's dinner and really give people the opportunity to show up as they are, be present, be in community with each other, enjoy a great evening, and really leave feeling that was amazing.
And also that, like, this is actually the secret sauce to helping you get what you want out of this, right? Is to
Hmm.
show up that way. Especially now, there was that New York Times article that was
How
like,
women are
uh,
destroying the workplace.
liberal feminism is destroying the workplace, and like this, like we continue to come under attack, especially these days, like where we thought we were making so much advancements, and now we're coming under attack again. So that community is so important, to be able to see that there are other women like you who have bigger dreams, who want to make more impact, we need to ensure that our voices are being heard, and that you see other women like you who are also making that impact.
Mhm. Well, and it's incredible when you're able to do that with other women, you then carry those relationships on. It isn't just
Mhm.
that like transactional networking, but it is actually building of that community for yourself. And
Mm,
it was actually something another experience member told me when I was chatting with her. She said, you know, I may not connect with the group on a consistent basis just because she travels a lot. She goes, but the fact that I know that I have my whole cohort to fall back on at any time,
mm,
she said, it's gotten me through the toughest times in my career this year. And she said, and more women are going to stay in the industry if they can experience this and they can know what
mhm.
this feels like. Because
Yep.
we do, we have to support each other. We get crazy articles like this coming out of the blue, trying to knock us down, and it is that sense of knowing who your team is. Where is your
Mhm.
team? How do you fall back on them? Who are the people that get you and get what you're trying to achieve? And those won't always be the direct people you work with. Those won't
Yep.
always be your bosses. Those won't always be people who are kind of in your direct line of sight. But there are those other women that are also doing it on their own paths around you. And they're all trying to chart new things. They're all trying to be creative. They're all trying to make that impact, but we're not interacting nearly enough together. And that really is like the movement and the sense that I try and build with Femina all the time, is pulling those parts together to say, but
Mhm.
you do have a community here, and it's a
Mhm.
true community, and you can come
Mhm.
just as you are in these moments to have these discussions.
Yeah, and remember to be able to reach out to those
Mhm.
connections that you've made. Also, part of it is being vulnerable and not protect. Like we've been in an well, our industry, but just corporate in general, you're taught to have that like guard and to put up the protection and the armor.
Mhm.
And because this is a safe space that the people come in, it's been curated, like you like you said, you pick a certain type of woman who is going to show up and be vulnerable and share and support each other. There's no competition. So how do you get the most out of this?
Mm.
And I think it really is letting your I call it, I've been looking at this question all week, which is about what parts of your life are you protecting?
Mm.
So what parts is there, maybe like shame, or it's in the shadow, or that you feel like that's like you've just never really shared or talked about it that much, but often that doesn't mean share everything, but it means like really looking at the pieces that you maybe stayed quiet about, but are actually kind of freaking awesome and part of your superpower. And when you open up about that, so I was l- just looking at a bio of this woman on LinkedIn that I was following, and I something that came to me was that she had said that she said she pitched a billionaire to go And he paid for her university education or whatever. I was like, wow, that's freaking badass. And then I was like, wait a minute, I did the same thing. But I
What?
felt shame about it. Yeah. So when I was going to do my master's degree, I was very I knew I wanted to work in business to help create a more sustainable world by changing business from the inside. I was
Mhm.
passionate about that. And this was before anyone was doing that. I found this master's program and I needed to raise funds so I could go do it. So I pitched a billionaire and said, I'm going to do my master's thesis on your company. This is what you're going to get out of it. This is what I could do it for. And he said, yes. And I always was never open about that. I was like, oh, I felt a little bit of a shame. But I also, that's not all I did. Like I, I found I had worked in a ski resort in Switzerland and in a pub. And I pitched to the pub that I was going to create these cocktail shakers for them that I had sourced where I would get them. I sold them to them and I got a pack. So I've always been very entrepreneurial. I've always been super resourceful to make things happen.
I
And I never,
I am like flabbergasted right now. That is incredible. I
yeah.
did
So
not know this about you, and that is like possibly the most badass thing you have ever told me that you have done. That is
yes.
incredible.
So at a time when nobody was in this career, nobody was in this field, all I knew is I wanted to be, I had just this, I wanted to work on the right side of history. I wanted to work within business. I wanted to get into this field. There was this new program. I wanted to be a part of it. I needed to figure out how I could get enough funds to do that. And finding your own resources and building on it and being entrepreneurial. But I never shared that with anyone because I was like, you know,
Oh my god, I you should be shouting that from the, like, mountaintops. Like, that
yes,
is absolutely incredible, and that is so totally this whole theme. I was talking with someone about this week, about, like, if you wanna be in a room, you have to put yourself in that room, and you have to
yes.
fully participate in how you're going to get in that room. You can't expect
Yes.
other people to do it for you, and even if
Yeah.
someone helps you get in the room, you can't just sit there like a
No.
wallflower. You have to, like, be present, take those reins, and actually do that, and, like, talk about a real life example in what you
Yeah.
just shared. That is incredible.
Yeah, no, thank you for taking the story back around because my other point is getting yourselves in the rooms where you feel like the least far along than the other people. They're all ahead of you. That's okay.
Yep.
And figuring out like you have the resources to do that already. And then taking a chance and like being vulnerable, sharing those pieces of you or those parts of you that you haven't really before.
That is like, I hope that that energy is entering the room on November 19th. And like, we just hear these crazy
Yeah.
stories about women who are like, yeah, I did this really bold thing and it did this for me. And
Yeah.
I took the step to do this, because that to me is
Mhm.
how you get motivated. That is how you like light your own fire again, and how you light the fire of those around you, is by sharing these incredible stories of like
Yeah.
what you did to get your master's paid for, and where that took you, and now what you're
Yeah.
doing and impacting because of that step, because of what you took there. And like,
Yeah.
that's not something that you share at like an industry networking event or things
No.
like that, but that is something
No.
that you share in the room with other women who are equally
Yeah.
as incredible as you are, to say, what's the craziest thing you've done, that you know that you felt shame around, or that you thought was kind of, I had to keep
Yeah.
secret, but is actually your superpower.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
we're gonna put that out there right now for women coming. It's like,
yeah.
think about that question. Like, what is the craziest thing that
Mhm.
you've done for your career that has just had such an impact? Mine similar is walking into every CEO's office on Bay Street, having no qualification or any idea about
Yeah.
mining, and somehow landing a contract after going to meeting after meeting after meeting and saying,
Yeah.
I'm going to come and talk to you whether you like it or not. Like, those are
Yeah.
crazy, bold moves, but those are what make our careers, and those are what like
Yes.
accelerate us to those next steps.
And like I think this theme, one of the themes too, besides getting yourself in that room, but internally as a leader is your capacity to hold uncertainty, like your
Mm-hmm.
capacity to
Mm-hmm.
feel it, and still, like, how are you letting yourself think about, where you're at and where are your thoughts going when things are uncertain,
Yeah.
is key here.
Yeah. Okay, we're wrapping it up with that because
Okay.
I don't think that we can top that story. That is freaking awesome. So I'm so excited to see you. I'm so excited to see all the other ladies at the event next week, and I'm just always so grateful for these conversations. So we will chat with you in person next week.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye. If this podcast resonates with you, it would mean so much to us if you could take 30 seconds to follow or subscribe to The Rebuild. This will make sure that you never miss an episode. Just go to the Rebuild Show page on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and just tap the plus sign on the right-hand corner or click follow. This is super important to our podcast. While you're there, if you'd be willing to leave us a 5-star review and share an episode you love with a friend, we would be incredibly grateful. We love you and appreciate you very much.